Hey, what's up, Dave? Can you hear me?
What's up, John? How we doing?
All right, I am Jesse, so I'm sorry for the confusion.
Better. Jesse, how we doing?
No worries, no worries. I totally know we set you up for this because it says John and everything.
Yeah, okay.
How are you doing today, man?
I'm awesome. I'm definitely, feeling the effects of this pandemic a little bit, but
Dude, I honestly, that was gonna be one of my first questions. So, like, how have you been? Like, what have you been doing? I guess really with everything.
so
Oh my god.
Go ahead.
You've got to be kidding. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it off the hook.
Okay. Popular guy, man. You're a popular guy. Is what I'm seeing.
Clearly, I'm living back in my dad's house, and he still has a wire or a home phone. It's still getting used apparently. I was living in New York City for a year, and my girlfriend lived in Baltimore at the time, so I was going down on weekends seeing her.
Yeah.
The pandemic broke out, and it broke out one weekend, like right as I went down, and New York got bad, and I decided to stay down there for like 4 months or so. Now we're both moving to Boston, so I'm in the process of finding a place in Boston, and then also I'm going back to school for music business at the Berkeley College of Music. So that's starting October 2nd, but just a ton of stuff going on in terms of like I'm still working remotely. I'm still trying to make as much music as I possibly can, finding a place, getting my student loans and all stuff in order. Just a ton of it's good to be busy, but
It is. It sounds like you've got a lot on your plate going on. Like, I totally feel that. I mean, with the whole pandemic, like this week was the first week that we've been in the studio the whole week.
oh wow.
So yeah, I mean, we've been kind of going back and forth here, like kind of maybe 3 to 4 days, maybe 2. But like this week, it was like, all right, business is hitting. We've got to be there. We got a shoot that we're actually going to later today. So we've been keeping up, and it's coming. We just added a couple clients and stuff, but this isn't about me. This is about you, man.
Could be though.
It could be, I guess, but that's So I guess what I want to know is like, first thing that I always like to ask is what caused you to become an artist, to become a singer, songwriter? What was maybe some people you looked up to, or some bands and stuff you listened to when you're younger that kind of like got you into that?
Yeah. So I mean, first thing I ever wanted to be was an astronaut. That's not happening. The second thing, I just loved singing as a kid. Like I wanted to be a rock star, and like I told my mom one day, I was like, I'm gonna be not Eddie Van. Who was the singer in Van Halen? Was it Eddie Van Halen?
No, it was. Oh my God. Dave Roth.
I told her I was gonna be David Roth, and like she was like, "Can you really sing like that?" I was like, "I think I could." And then like I hit puberty, and
I don't know about that.
So I always was drawn to music. My family are huge musicians, music teachers. I was always around it. My dad constantly played like classical rock for me growing up, and I just fell in love with that stuff. My mom definitely played more of like current music at the time, even till now. And I was always drawn to it. Unfortunately, like I played the cello, the bass guitar, and the electric guitar growing up until I was about 15. And then my focus was just more on sports. I played basketball, baseball, and football, and I focused more on those, and that got me nowhere. and I ended up writing like rap songs when I was 15, just kind of randomly. And I loved what I was doing, and like enough people told me that I was good enough. I was terrible, but enough people told me that I was good enough that I just kept going with it, and I created like rap or alternative music up until about November of last year, and decided like, you know what, this just doesn't feel right, it's not clicking, and changed my stage name, changed my sound completely, and it seems to have been working. So
been doing well, right?
Yeah, I can't complain.
Man, that's kind of crazy just to think. Kind of a mini side note that diverse a little bit. So I know you're from Connecticut.
Yeah.
Being on the East Coast and stuff. Personally, I coach. I used to play all the time. Are you lax, bro, man? Are you?
No. So it's funny. I played baseball my entire. I got the hair for it. I played baseball.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. I got it back.
Yeah, I had long just until right before I graduated college. My hair was down past my shoulders. And
yeah.
My dad was like, "You're gonna need to get a job." So I like, but I mean that's cool. So, but no, I played baseball up through like from when I was 4 to my junior year in high school. Ended up fracturing my spine.
Oh my god.
Yeah, apparently it's a pretty common baseball injury. It wasn't like anything serious, but enough where like I couldn't swing. And my senior year, I stopped playing. All my best friends played lacrosse, and I thought about like just joining the team for the senior year, and I never did because I was like, I'm gonna work on music instead. And I mean, who knows? Maybe it paid off.
Well, I mean, it's working out for you. I'd say that.
Yeah.
No, I just coach 7th and 8th graders now. I used to play when I was back in the day, and being from Columbus, Ohio, it's kind of weird seeing around because everybody was baseball, football, basketball. But yeah, that was just a little diversion. I thought I'd ask.
I love it.
So I guess I want to go back to your debut song, which, if I'm correct, is 2018 in Bonfire, correct?
2019. It was.
2019. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It was last December.
Oh, okay. It's very recent then. Very recent. All right. With that, I want to go kind of like into that time period last year, because obviously being towards the end of the year, like, how was that for you? Like, was it a stress? Like, was it just crazy anxiety going on? Was it a blast with everything coming out?
I had recently gotten broken up with. Which always makes for good music. Right?
It does.
So I went home and Bonfire was supposed to be a whole part of a project. I ended up I found this tactic where when I have writer's block, I do this, like I put 7 minutes on a timer and I just no erasing, nothing, just get it out. And I ended up writing about this like bonfire where there's embers in it, and if you leave the embers alone, they might die out. But if you care for them a little bit, the bonfire can start up again. And I kind of related it to the whole other thing, whatever. Ended up writing the song, and this kid that I was working with at the time, I was like, you know what? Let's shoot a little. That's the first song that I started to change my sound with. And I was like, let's shoot a little promotional video for it. And I shot it, and it was literally simple. It was literally me sitting on a couch, and the camera just zoomed in on my face while I just mouthed the lyrics. It was nothing special, and it for my standards at the time, kind of blew up. Like, people loved it on Instagram, and it got the attention of this kid that I work with now, Greg Loss, who owns a distribution company, 2 Lost Records, that I go through, and he reached out to me. We started working together, and next thing you know, we set a date to release Bonfire. And then the congruent singles after that, and it's just it worked out. It's random stuff. It's random stuff that just happens that gets you to.
Honestly, I gotta go against you on that. I don't think anything's random. I definitely think everything happens for a reason. So
I do agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just me. That's just how I feel. After a lot of the stuff that's happened in my life, I can't say that anything's random anymore. But kind of going a little bit further in, so now you've come out with a couple other ones. One that I wanted to get into in particular was Jenny, just because I read a little bit about it, and it said that you kind of used Forrest Gump. Could you go into that and just kind of describe what was the making of that song?
So Forrest Gump was hands down one of my favorite movies growing up. Still is. I just think
it's great. It's great.
It's 7 different genres. Just off the bat, just hits all of any historical. It's comedy. It's heartbreak. It's all that. So I always loved it, and I don't know why, but I was in New Orleans on a trip with my father, and we were just going around down there seeing different sports teams play, which was just a great trip in itself. And he ended up going to take a nap in his hotel room, and I was in my hotel room, and I was I got time to kill, let me write something. And I started thinking about Forrest Gump for whatever reason. Maybe it was playing, I don't really remember. But oh no, I'm sorry. I had just bought a pair of the Nike Cortez shoes, the red and blue ones that he
Yeah. I know the shoes.
Bought those, and I brought them back, and I loved them. And I remember he wore those in the movie, and I started like writing, and I was thinking about the movie, and I was like, well, Jenny really runs more than Forrest in the movie. Like Jenny's running from a lot of old shit that she's just continuously running from the movie and not letting herself be happy. But the whole thing is like run, Forrest, run, and Forrest runs around the world or runs around the U.S. and in those shoes. And so I wrote it off that. That was like one of the first songs I ever wrote without music behind it. I only like writing with music, but ended up finding some music from a producer that matched up with the style and the tone of the song, and it worked out. And like I was just in another interview before this, and I was like, that's my baby. Like that song is my child. I love that song. It's my favorite thing I've ever made, and I usually hate everything I make. So like, yeah.
That kind of I can feel the emotion coming off you from that, man. Like that's great. It's honestly, that's really something that I've noticed in some of the artists that I've been interviewing. Is I always kind of want to ask them, like, how do you feel about your music? Because there's some artists that are like, I blare my music 24/7 all the time. Yeah. And then there's some artists that are like, I don't even want to touch any of my music because I that's my job. I'm done with it, you know? So how, I guess with that, how is, obviously your favorite would be Jenny. Yeah. What, is that like a typical thing though? Like you said, like, is it more of I'm away from it, don't want to be around it, or what?
So whenever somebody plays my music around me, sprint out of it. I run. Like I can't.
What? Just out. Just done.
Because like God forbid somebody makes a face or something, I'm gonna be like, ah. Like I just like it.
The disappointment from somebody.
I just don't want to be there for it. So, but I tend to love my stuff up until I put it out, and then after I put it out, I'm like, I don't want to hear it ever again.
So with that though, is that more so you think because you've heard it so much and now that it's out there, or is it so much more of like the people like kind of judging what you've created?
I think it's like a couple prongs that go into it. Like I think it's those two things, whether it's like I've heard it so much that it's just like not really a novelty to me anymore, or like the fact that like people are now like actively kind of judging it with streams and saves and all that stuff. But it's also just like, as soon as I put it out, for whatever reason, I hear 20 different things that I wanted to do differently. And like, I'm like, oh, I could have, if I did this and this part, if I added a little like, ooh here, like it would have like made it so better. Like nobody cares. Like that's just me. Nobody's gonna hear that and be like, oh, he did that right there. That would have been better. But it's just, and I guess that's a good thing, because then I take those things and I put it into the next song. There's certain things that I didn't do on Bonfire that I definitely did in Jenny. So on and so forth.
Yeah, constantly learning from each song that you go with. That's cool though to know that. I mean, really, I mean, this has been a great interview. I only have one last question for you. You bombed everything. You just
appreciate it.
Great, man. So the last one is like, what do you have with the pandemic and everything going on? What do you have probably planned for the rest of this year? I mean, only being about 5 months. Yeah. And what do you see beyond, maybe once potentially get past the pandemic?
Definitely. Jenny's coming out September 25th. I'm shooting a video for that soon. I'm hoping to be able to package the two together for release. If not, hopefully like a week after. I have a song coming out called Snooze on October 10th, I think, with Birdhouse Records, which is a friend of mine, Ben Beal's label. And then after that, I'm working on an EP right now. I'm also working on an album, having those things together. I'm hoping to do an EP maybe at the start of 2021, and then hopefully a tour. That would be awesome. That would be like the best case scenario, but even if it's a socially distanced tour, I'll do it. I don't care.
They did it in Dayton, Ohio with Dave Chappelle. So, and it was safe distance, and it was outside. They did it. It's been done. So,
see that concert in the UK? They had the screens that were set up.
What was it? Oh my gosh! The scaffolding. There we go. Yeah, all those. Yes.
It could be done. Maybe not for an artist of my caliber. Maybe I'll blow up to that big by then. Who knows? But yeah.
Dude, I gotta say thank you though for taking the time. It was an honor, and I just want to say Bonfire is easily my favorite song by you. I'm a little biased with it being your debut, but I've already added it to my playlist. Been jamming that.
I appreciate it.
Hey, keep up all the good work, man. I know you're gonna blow up a lot more than what you already have.
I love it. Thank you so much, dude, for taking the time to talk.
Yeah, thank you for sitting down with us, and hey, enjoy the rest of your week and your weekend.
All right, Jesse.
All right.
Have a good one.
Good.